favors white, and this pawn structure I think is resulted from like queen's or no, king's Indian, you know, something with g6, bishop g7, and d6. So you know, from the get-go, I guess you can start seeing pawn structure play from the opening, you know, and seeing. So that's one thing to consider. Is basically, hey, is this a pawn structure I like to play? You know, and try to see what the opening that dictates it. So like I like to play the Caracon because I like the half open C file. You know, that's just my preference. You know. So anyways, all right. So let's see here. After actually the king is actually let me replace the king. The king's actually a little bit behind here. So in this, we're going to put this king to use. So king b5. After king b5, f6. Maybe disappoint this pawn a little bit more. But this also blocks in the bishop. So if the bishop ever wants to go back, it can't go back to this way. Maybe f5 push, maybe. But after f6, king c6, bringing in the king a little bit more. The bishop, black can't do anything really much. Everything's all on dark square, so he's just going to play bishop b4, just, you know, making a move. h3, just, you know, this is basically putting all the pawns on light squares. And so, basically, you know, white doesn't have to worry about losing a pawn, and the king can't really come in. I mean, it takes like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves to get this pawn here. And so it's, you know, so this is mainly just, you know, you don't need to play this move, but the idea is just to show you guys, hey, why not? You know, black can't make any progress, and you might as well play h3, just keep all the pawns on light squares, just to, you know, prevent black from any counterplay. So, bishop c5, g4. So again, everything on light squares, keeping the position very, very close. Bishop c5, g4. If something, let's see. I don't know, like bishop b4, you know, then just something like king c7. And we're just pushing more pressure, and then I think it's just basically we might even get to this wrong here. So the idea, let's see here. 1, f6, king c6, bishop b4, h3, bishop c5, g4. So apparently this book has a typo. So it should be, after this, it should be still white's move. I don't know why, but anyways. Knight b6, bishop a5, so pinning it. Now, since, okay, so the idea is now we're going to trade off, but the position is very close for black, and we're going to basically win the knight. Or no, we're not going to win the knight, but we're going to win these pawns because of opposition. So king c6, king c6, bishop takes, king takes, king d7, king b7. This is basically easy to win because, you know, essentially his pawn moves are going to eventually fall. So after this, so like something like g6 or g5, excuse me, g5, then you know king b6, h6, and then king b7, and then king d8 maybe, king c6, king here, getting opposition, and then just smudging all these pawns. So, I mean, basically here the idea was just trading off the knight for a bishop, but it's a close position, the pawns are on light squares, so this bishop wasn't as effective as it needed to be. This king's stuck because, you know, knight takes there, so this is showing another, you know, block position kind of thing. Let's show another position. I mean, this is a little bit, I mean, you guys can see how, you know, sometimes the bishops are not the best, and you know, it's basically almost the same principles as the middle game. So we're moving king here, queen here, king here, queen there. Okay, alright. So we have this position. Alright. and it should be white's move. And so what's white's move here? White's move. And so, I mean, yeah, this is the good bishop technically, but all the pawns are here. He can't really move. This pawn, can't play like something like d3 because then d4 then takes. And so, I mean, let's see here. I mean, better position. I mean, this king is kind of stuck defending this pawn here. We also have like better piece, better king, and this is a better knight. But this knight is doing much more than this bishop, which is just not really attacking it. Of course, all of white's pawns and knights and everything are on dark squares. And so basically, in this position, the knight's still stronger. The close position and all that. First move should be king g8. Well, I'm threatening something like knight here, check, and then winning this pawn. So, the threat is, knight h5 and knight takes here, knight check, and then king takes f7. And so after bishop b4, or g4, bishop g4, let's see, knight, what's the best move here? Again, these are all dark squares, so we shouldn't expect any counterplay. This king's kind of stuck on this f7. So, after bishop g4, you want to win this pawn. So, let's see. The bishop, it's something with this knight. Knight g6? Yeah, knight g6. After knight g6, if he takes our knight, then we just promote with that f7 there and then queen. Let's put a queen. Or Acerook. Well, actually, queen's better here. So that works. Okay, so what if he doesn't take it? Let's say he plays, I don't know, bishop back all the way here. Bishop d1, then knight h8, and then after bishop h5, protecting this pawn one more, then we have zugzwang, I guess, with king g7. And so after king g7, then basically, now we're winning this pawn. So essentially, after that, there's nothing black can do. So the idea was just basically trying to get this pawn, double attacking this pawn. So, why black couldn't do anything is mainly because his bishops was on the same color as his pawns. His king was not in the active position. So after all that, it's basically a win game for white. So. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, let's take now let's not do knights anymore. Let's actually do bishops, because we kind of give the knights a little bit too much credit now. But let's do bishops then. Let's clear the board and set up a new position here. Okay, so basically, what's the point here? How do you win, essentially? And it looks like, this is never going to move. This is not a dark square. This is not a dark square, so it can't be pushed unless you move your king all the way over here, but then we kind of lose this thing. So it looks almost like a draw position. I mean, either we move our king all the way over here, take the knight, and then we lose the bishop after he promotes, or something to that effect. Unfortunately, because the bishop is more open, the knight can't really do anything. It's mainly trying to trap the knight and basically have like a zugzwang again. So the main thing about these endgames is zugzwang. And so, basically realizing, this is zugzwang, and you have to keep trying to, force black's hand, essentially. So after this a7 move, king b4, or king g4, king f2, king f4, trying to get out of position, king e2, we're just basically trying to go to the knight on b6. And, this bishop, it could be all the way here, and we can still protect the h1 queen square. So after king e2, king f5, king e3, black realizes this, and he's trying to get back to his knight. So king e3, king e5, king d3. Let's see here. Whoa. Let's see here. a7, king g4, king f2, king e4, king e2, king f5, king e3, king e5, king d3, king e6, king c3? No, king c3, right? King c3, king d6, king b4, king d7, king b5, king c7, king a6. So now we're still threatening this now. And so, let's see. Now we're just waiting for black to make a move. So at this position, like after this, bishop a2, king bishop g2, we're basically forcing white or black to make a bad move. Knight a4 equals queen, c4 equals queen, this equals queen, that we can take the knight and then equals queen, that equals queen, that equals queen. And so basically all this illustrates is that, the bishop is going to, basically that extra move, the bishop can still guard all of these threats while not even being in the same place. So you can't even play like bishop e4 or anything. But essentially this is where bishops are more effective. The position is more open, there's a lot of rooms, pawns on opposite color opposite color with the bishop. And so now we definitely are going to win here. So let's illustrate that example a little bit better here. And so after here, bishop, we'll put a bishop here, put pawn here. Alright, so it's kind of like a similar position here. This new position. So what's the first move? It kind of looks like a draw because, we got this covered. He's got everything covered. If we push, we're going to take, and then, we're going to lose. But again, since this is an open position, the bishops has more, I guess, tempo control, wasting moves, if you want to call it that way. More tempo control. We can force black to do something that he doesn't want to. So the first move here is, let's make it white to move. White to move. First move here is bishop c6, basically, protecting this. Knight can't really hop anywhere to a4 or c4. And so after that, then what? What does black have to do? Black has to do king d8, right? And that's fine, that's fine. We can't, let's see, after king d8, I don't know. See, if king f7, actually bishop c6, king d8, and then king f7, let's see here. Here, d8, knight d8, right? And then after this, if we queen right now, I think that's stalemate. Yeah, that's stalemate. So that doesn't make any progress, and white is not winning. And so after king d8, king f5, maybe try to kick off the knight? No, but this is protected. So what's king f5 do? King f5, we're basically trying to get some zugzwang here and lose this. We will want black to lose this pawn on c7 here. So king f5, king e7, king e5, king f7, king d4, king e6, king c5, king e5, king opposition, Uh,